Hello, I'm here with Jalissa. She works with me here at Baby Behavioral Hospital, and she is also a United States Army veteran. Hi, Jalissa. Thanks for joining me. So, just to get kind of a background, how old were you when you joined the service?
I was 18.
What made you want to join the service?
Originally, I was gonna join the Marine Corps because in high school I thought I was just like a hardcore gun ho type person. But my mom's friend, she was in the Army. She retired from the Army, her and her husband. So she kind of convinced me to join the Army.
Cool. So, you had some people that you looked up to that were also in the service, it sounds like. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. And where did you serve during your time in the Army? Were you stationed in different places?
Yes. So my first duty station after I graduated from basic training, I went to Germany from 2012 to 2015, and between that time, I went to Afghanistan, and then after came back from Afghanistan, went back to Germany for a little bit, and then I PCSed over to Louisiana, Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I stayed there for 3 years, and then I went back to Germany, to Kaiserslautern, Germany, and I stayed there until I got out in 2020.
Very interesting. So you got to see a lot of different cultures. What would you say was like the biggest culture shock, I would say, when you were in all of these different areas?
Oh, that's kind of a tough one because every place that I've been to is kind of different cultures. Like when you go to Germany, and sometimes people can come off as rude, or the language is harsh itself. So
Yeah.
that on top of other people, you can kind of say that they're rude. Some of them act like they don't know how to speak English, but it's a requirement in most schools in Germany. So you just kind of you got to pick and choose your battles, I guess.
Yeah.
In Afghanistan, a lot of the cultural differences came with man and female. Like they kind of looked down upon females and me. There was like two other of my battle buddies, so there's three of us total. So it was kind of like a
That's interesting. Were there some men over in Afghanistan that like wouldn't even answer questions from you, or
yeah, most definitely. Like we had male interpreters. We had three interpreters, and they were all males. And whenever I needed something, I would have to go to them and be like, "Hey, can you ask them to do X, Y, and Z?" Because sometimes they wouldn't listen.
Yeah. Wow. What were some of your positive memories from your deployment?
Um, Definitely saving people.
Yeah.
I would say would be a positive. I mean, it came out of a negative situation, but overall it came out to be good because this little kid, as you guys seen in the photos, we had to save him from basically being assaulted by other people, because what they told me that they did was they took little kids back into what we call the soak yard. They had to sit there for 24 hours just in case they had like any, I would say, like, to be broad, any bombs on their trucks. If they had any on them, then them sitting in that yard, being in there for the 24 hours, eventually it's going to go off if they have it.
Yeah.
So they had to sit there. So we went to the soak yard, and they brought one of the kids in, and they were going to pass him around when it got dark, and his dad came. Luckily we didn't shoot his dad because his dad was running.
Yeah.
But he kind of explained to our interpreter what was going on, and then we ended up saving the kid, and the dad ended up doing us good in the end. So
Yeah, that had to feel very rewarding. I can't even imagine being exposed to that kind of stuff, and what kind of like the treatment that those kids see over there. How was it coming home? Like after you were exposed to all that, were you kind of like happily welcomed by people? And can you kind of give us some insight on that?
yeah, like when we flew into Baltimore, and right when you come out of the terminal, there's like a whole line of people like just welcoming them, all the people coming back from overseas, and it was definitely a breath of fresh air to know that people actually care.
Yeah, definitely. And respect and honor, what you guys are doing. I'm sure that had to feel good. Were
Yeah.
you able to kind of, once you got settled into being home, were you able to open up to like your family or any close friends about some of the things you saw over there? Or do you kind of bottle it up? Like, how'd that go?
Yeah, so when I first came back, I kind of, bottled it up and didn't really talk about it. But I became a very light sleeper. I was always a light sleeper, but
Hmm.
when I came back, I was like, I don't know, extra light, if you want to
Yeah.
say. Like somebody could just walk into the room and immediately I jump up and I'm just like staring at them. My
Yeah.
sister told me one time I woke up, I didn't know that I was awake, but I woke up and I like was like choking her and stuff. And
Wow.
when you come back, depending on what you endure over there, it can be kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I didn't talk about it for like the longest time. It didn't take me until like 2000. I came back in 2013 and I didn't start talking about it until like 2019.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long time to keep that bottled. Was
Yeah.
there anything or anyone that kind of helped you talk about that, or any sort of like therapies or treatments that you were able to go through? Or
Yeah, I went to behavioral health. Like I said, in 2019,
hmm.
I felt like there was a lot going on in my life to where I couldn't just hold everything in because I have a son, so I just knew that if I kept it bottled in, I was going to take it out on somebody else.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it to be him, so I kind of like everything I had, I kind of just threw it to the behavioral health people, and they kind
Yeah.
of, helped me go through the motions, and they were kind of like my outlet to talk. If I
Yeah.
couldn't really feel like I was at that point where I could talk to my family because I wanted somebody who was non-biased
Hmm.
and who didn't know me and
Your
didn't know,
life and yeah,
nothing about me.
definitely.
That's who I wanted to talk to instead of my family.
Yeah. Have you been able to like talk with any other veterans to kind of bounce ideas off of them, or do any sort of like group therapy? And if so, was it helpful if you have?
I never. They offered me to do group therapy, but I don't know if I'm quite there
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, no,
So
that
I
makes
kind of
sense. Yeah, kind of
we'll
take it
see.
little by little,
Yeah.
definitely. Is there anything you kind of wish that civilians would be able to understand about serving your country and some of the things you've experienced?
Um, Not everybody's crazy. I know a lot of people when they think of the military, they think like, oh, bad things happen to you over in Afghanistan. Like, granted, most of the time they do, but some people come back with nothing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like no symptoms,
Hmm.
just no depression. It's just like a regular day for them. And I think in the civilian world, a lot of people once they see like that you're in the service, they automatically have like sympathy for you because
Yeah.
they think that like, oh, like you probably endured like a lot of stuff. Like you're in battle and you're just like shooting at people and
Yeah.
doing all the stuff. And I was just, no, it's not really like that, but depending on your MOS, it can
Yeah,
be.
yeah, definitely. So it's kind of like don't feel bad for me, but like still kind of understand where and what I saw and like what we
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Is there any like healthcare services that you wish to see improved upon or even added to like veterans and how they can get their services from what you've experienced from coming home? I'm sure that's a loaded topic,
Yes,
but
definitely, definitely. I think that they should extend the health care for families because even though when you get out, they give you your family TRICARE for 6 months after you get out, and then
Mhm.
after that, it's kind of like you're
Yeah.
on your own. And if you want to sustain that TRICARE, it's like 3,000, a little over 3,000 for 3 months.
Oh wow, I didn't know
So
that.
yeah,
For veterans, so
for
even for you that you
families,
served, you
yes. No,
can't.
I can
Okay.
get it through the VA,
Yeah.
but if I wanted my son to continue TRICARE, I would
Mhm.
have to pay $3,000
Wow.
every 3 months to sustain his TRICARE,
I didn't
which
know
is
that.
which is an outrageous number, and I think that it should be lowered because, you know, most of the time you don't use it, but you would like to have like a good, stable health care that you can, just in case, like, say if my son had to get surgery tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like, to know that I had something solid to lean on instead of having to go to outside stores to get it.
That's really, I didn't know that. That's something I should know for when my husband retires. So, is there any sort of services? I know we kind of like touched on how we both kind of feel like drugs and things like that are kind of pushed on the military for psychiatric reasons like depression, PTSD, alcoholism. Is there anything like you would see be beneficial, any sort of like alternative forms instead of kind of like pushing the drugs so quickly?
Actually taking the time to see what is actually wrong with the person. Yeah. Because I know me personally, I've been suffering with some gastro problems, and they don't know what it is. Right. I've gone like 3 weeks without eating, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong, but they didn't run any tests or anything. They just gave me anti-vomiting pills and told me to take those to hopefully I can eat without throwing up. And I think if they spend more time actually like investing time into people, like trying to see what is actually wrong with them, then I don't think that they would prescribe the pills that they do, because I had like a list of like 2 pages of medicine that I was supposedly taking because of my stomach issues, and never had any tests done for it. Yeah, so.
I mean, that's very important. Instead of like treating all these symptoms, like when you actually, you know, figure out what's truly going on. Yeah. Both physically or mentally, whatever the issues might be. So that's really interesting. Is there anything you want to add on that I didn't touch on, or any like lingering thoughts that you think my classmates should know?
Nothing too crazy. Just you know, everybody's different when it comes to getting out, and especially when you're getting out. Even though they have this Soldiers for Life program, which is like kind of like a transition. They teach you how to, you know, write resumes and stuff, so then that way you could be prepared when you get out the military. That helps to a certain extent, but it doesn't actually prepare you for getting out. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like when I got out, like I was lost because the Army was the only job that I had. I didn't have like any other experiences in high school. Like as soon as I got out, I joined the military. So that's all I knew for like the longest time. And I know when people get out after 20 years, that's what they've been doing for 20 years. So when they get out to the civilian world, they're like going bananas because they don't know like how to transition from being in the military and being disciplined to coming into the civilian world and being all relaxed. So I think that's what a lot of people suffer from when they get out the military, is just how to transition. Even though there is a program, like I said, it doesn't actually mentally prepare you for getting out the military.
That's very interesting. And not even that, like you guys don't really have a routine. Like I know how strict your routines can be when you're in the service, and then you get out and it's kind of like, okay, now
what do I do?
Yeah. So that's really, really interesting. Well, thank you very much for sitting down with me. I really appreciate everything you kind of went over, and respect you so much for everything you've done for, you know, my classmates and for our country. And thank you again, Jalissa.
You're welcome.